But you're also seeing assets like Bitcoin. Bitcoin has become the modern day gold. People all over the world are pouring into it. Companies from Fortune 500s to a company like ours, to sovereign wealth funds, to the richest families on earth are all hoarding Bitcoin. It's become such an incredible asset. It's immediately liquid. It's probably the greatest hedge to real estate, that there is, right? Because again, you have massive liquidity. It's all around the world. It's protected by kind of the greatest ecosystem of energy mining companies in the world that safeguard it. Bitcoin has become, I think, the truly greatest asset of our time.
Crypto is changing. As we see the dollar weaken, people are more inclined to go into risk assets, especially on the cusp of those Federal Reserve rate cuts that we're expecting later on today. But how is this going to shape the market? What does it mean for your portfolio? And ultimately, why are we still seeing huge amounts of capital flowing into this market? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down some of the key things you need to be aware of, and more importantly, why this market for me is getting more bullish every single day. So smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high, and let's get straight into it. Now, many of you know that I broke the story yesterday that Michael Saylor, along with other people that are very much well connected in this space, were all heading over to the White House. Names such as Tom Lee and others were all there to discuss the advancement of the US Strategic Reserve. Well, that continued into today. In fact, everything going orange at the White House, all on Capitol Hill, with Michael Saylor and many other people working forward to organize leadership for the US digital age and that reserve. And it is under the title Digital Power Network. This is a great advancement, and one thing that for me is a absolute pillar of where this market's going to go. Many people obviously are looking to Bitcoin as the hedge. You heard Eric Trump talk at the start of this video as how it's a hedge against real estate, how it's a hedge against inflation, and even the data suggests right now that the US dollar's lost 10% of its value, whereas Bitcoin and the crypto market has done the absolute opposite. This is very bullish indeed. Now, clearly, we've got a big deal today. Federal Reserve rate cuts, and everyone is weighing in, from Goldman Sachs and equally some other key people. Alex Kruger, as an example, giving his view. So what are they saying, and what do we need to be aware of? Bearing in mind, later today, that decision will come in, and obviously Jerome Powell will give his view on what's going on in the market. Well, Goldman Sachs have shared their thoughts, and in particular, they shared in terms of where they think Jerome Powell is going to go. Very interesting read. So they said here that the Fed is expected to cut 25 basis points at the meeting later today, but they noted Jerome Powell is likely to deliver a hawkish message. Now, we've talked about this on the channel. Remember, the labor market is very stretched right now. Yes, the stock market, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, all hitting record highs, showing massive amounts of movement in the market. But we also know that, well, the reality is that Powell's statements will be looking towards the labor market and how they secure that going forward. Those revisions aren't simply going to go away. But Wilson Elizondo noted that inflation is still far from the 2% Fed target, and inflation has improved structurally. It is, however, trending sideways, and this has been a discussion for a while. Can they truly get below 2%? I'm not so sure, but they think that Jerome Powell will come in hawkish on the back of a 25 basis points cut. Now, Alex Kruger also wanted to give his view, particularly around the rate decision, and he expects a dovish rate cut tomorrow. Now, this could even go as far as to say 50 basis points could come in. I think it's unlikely, and that would be a pretty big shift in the market. But he also wrote the fact that he says, I am still optimistic about stocks and Bitcoin markets. Often forget how fast Bitcoin can move. And if you didn't see my video yesterday talking about why I think so many people have got this market wrong, I would highly recommend going and watching it. The reality is that people are looking at a volatility measure, this remaining around 40% by the end of the year. However, this translates to a 23% volatility for the next 4 months. This could then signal a rally in Bitcoin price, and rally quickly. We could see $136,000 to $150,000 quite easily, according to Alex Kruger, and reaching new highs by the end of the year. Very interesting indeed. And I guess then you sort of say, well, inflation's going to come down, rate cuts are going to come in, markets are going to ease. We know there's about $7.5 trillion waiting to get into the market. Well, what else is going to push this narrative? Well, today, Google actually partnered up with the Sui blockchain, releasing their AI payments protocol that includes support for not only stablecoins and they're partners with Coinbase and Salesforce. This is a big deal, and this is all to do with their AI apps basically sending and receiving money. It's an open source protocol, but it doesn't include support for more traditional forms of payment like credit cards and debit cards, but it also has stable coins and cryptocurrencies pegged to underlying assets like the US dollar. So officially, we can say Google are now in the market. This is obviously one of the Magnificent Seven. It's a big deal. And many people need to understand that, well, at this stage in the market, Google decide to get in. I actually think you're going to see more and more companies coming. And if my opinion is right, this is a dip in the toe for them. Now, if you are looking to trade the markets, don't forget, check out BitUnix, my exchange of choice. I've partnered up with them to bring you a fantastic deal. 40% rebate on your deposit up to $1,000. You're going to get $400 for free. And then more importantly, if you trade over $2 million, then you are going to bag yourself that bonus as well. So absolutely worthwhile checking out. And again, check out the link in the description if you are interested. No KYC and available all over the globe. So check out BitUnix, link down below. So given all this bullish sentiment, given the fact that we definitely should see rate cuts today, we're just not quite sure how high they're going to be. What does it mean for Bitcoin? Well, the reality is that we've successfully reclaimed that 114K support in a very, very volatile last couple of days as people jostle for potentially what comes in for Fed cuts. However, the fact now is BTC is one step closer to fully resynchronizing within the range. It's one step closer from, well, ending the downside deviation and more importantly, ending the corrective phase and allowing us to push further up. This, for me, is the retest of the next all-time high, 123, and maybe even beyond that. And the reason we get there, like you said, Google getting into the market, institutions are still buying. For example, BlackRock today buying over 2,200 Bitcoin. Again, inflows are big, and they're big again on ETFs. And we've seen this absolutely correlate to rallies in the market. And I think this will continue, especially now. If interest rates come down, lending debt is easier than ever, and those payments become less. That's how it supports the trillions of dollars worth of debt that the US is in as well. So very interesting week playing out, very bullish week in my opinion. And well, the honest answer is it's playing out exactly as we predicted. And more importantly, I think it will continue September as well. As we talked about this at the start of September, certainly playing out as a very bullish month, currently sitting just under 8%. And yeah, that's the best September we've had in the crypto markets ever. So let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. Look out for those Fed decisions. We'll obviously be talking about this fully live later on. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to become a channel member, get access to our premium Discord, check out the link in the description as well. Right, until next time, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.